A woman is a branchy tree, and man a singing wind, and from her branches carelessly he takes what he can find. Then wind and man go far away, while winter comes with loneliness, with cold and rain and slow decay on woman and on tree, till they droop to the earth again and be a withered woman, a withered tree. While wind and man woo in the glade another tree, another maid. James Stephens, who wrote that poem, looked as if he might be descended from a leprechaun. He was born in a Dublin slum, and when someone asked him how he came to write poems, he said, "What happened to me once was that a poem grabbed me by the back of the neck and said, 'Sit down and write me, and you do me well or I knock your block off.'" James liked to roam around the Irish countryside like the bards of old, talking to the people. He also liked to dabble in philosophy, especially that concerning the age-old battle of the sexes. He did his fair share of eavesdropping. Indeed, I am quite sure he was behind a bush by the well side when a thin woman had an unholy row with a fat woman. A thin woman baked 3 cakes. One she gave to each of her children, and one she kept herself, whereupon they set out upon their journey. There was little shade for the travellers, and after a time they became hot and weary and thirsty. They reached a well by the roadside, and here they drank deeply and were comforted. There was a wide, leafy tree growing hard by the well, and in the shade of this tree they sat down and ate their cakes. While they rested, the thin woman advised the children on many important matters. She never addressed her discourse to both of them at once, but spoke first to Seamus on one subject and then to Bridget on another. For, as she said, the things which a boy must learn are not those which are necessary to a girl. It is particularly important that a man should understand how to circumvent women. For this and the capture of food forms the basis of masculine wisdom. It is, however, equally urgent that a woman should be skilled to keep a man in his proper place. A man must hate all women before he is able to love a woman. But he is at liberty, or rather he is under express command, to love all men because they are of his kind. Women also should love all other women as themselves, and they should hate all men but one man only, and him they should seek to turn into a woman. Because women, by the order of their beings, must be either tyrants or slaves, and it is better that they should be tyrants than slaves. Between men and women, there exists a state of unremitting warfare, and it is the endeavour of each sex to bring the other to subjection. But women are possessed of a demon called pity, which severely handicaps their battle and perpetually gives victory to the male, who is thus constantly rescued on the very ridge of defeat. For these reasons, and in order that life might not cease, women should seek to turn their husbands into women. Then they would be tyrants, and their husbands would be slaves, and life would be renewed for a further period. They were repacking their cakes in their wallets when they observed a stout, comely female coming towards the well. "Oh, it's hot weather, surely, and I'm thinking it's as much as a body's life is worth to be travelling this day and the sun the way it is. Did you come far now, ma'am, or is it that you're used to going the roads and don't mind it?" "Not far. Far or near a purchase as much as I'd like to travel this time of the year." "That's a fine pair of children you have with you now, ma'am." "They are. I have 10 of them myself, and I often wondered where they came from. It's queer to think of one woman making 10 new creatures and she not getting a penny for it, nor any thanks itself." "It is. Do you ever speak more than 2 words at the one time, ma'am? I do. I'd give a penny to hear you. For a more bad-natured, cross-grained, cantankerous person than yourself I never met among womankind. It's what I said to a man only yesterday, that thin ones are bad ones, and there isn't anyone could be thinner than you are yourself. The reason you said that is because you are fat. And you have to tell lies to yourself to hide your misfortune and let on that you like it. There is no person in the world could like to be fat, and there I leave you, ma'am. You can poke your finger in your own eye, but you may keep it out of mine if you please, and so goodbye to you. And if I wasn't a quiet woman, I'd pull you by the hair of the head up a hill and down a hill for 2 hours, and now there's an end of it. I've given you more than 2 words to let you take care, or I'll give you 2 more that would put blisters on your body forever. Come along with me now, children, and if ever you meet a person like that person, you know that she eats until she can't sit, and drinks until she can't stand, and sleeps until she's stupid. And if a person like that ever talks to you, remember that 2 words are all that's due to her, and let them be short ones. For a woman like that would be a traitor and a thief, only she's too lazy to be anything but a sot. God help her, and so goodbye. Then the thin woman and the 2 children continued on their journey. Towards evening, the thin woman saw a cow lying in a field. Everything belongs to the wayfarer. And she crossed into the field and milked the cow into a vessel which she had. I wonder, said James, who owns that cow? Maybe, said Bridget Berg, nobody owns her at all. The cow owns herself, for nobody can own a thing that is alive. I'm sure she gives us her milk with great goodwill, for we are modest, temperate people without greed or pretension. On being released, the cow lay down in the grass again and continued her interrupted cud. As the evening had grown chilly, the thin woman and the children huddled close to the warm animal. But after a time, the thin woman said that the part of the cow on which she was resting was bonier than anything on which she had ever leaned upon before, and that while thinness was a virtue, nobody had the right to be thin in lumps. On hearing this, the cow arose, and without another look at them, walked away into the dusky field. The thin woman told the children that she was unable to bring herself to apologize to that cow, so they were forced to resume their journey to keep themselves warm. There was a sickle moon in the sky, a tender sword whose radiance stayed in its own high place and did not at all illumine the heavy world below. The glimmer of infrequent stars could also be seen, with dark, spacious solitudes between them. But on the earth, the darkness gathered in fold on fold of misty veiling, through which the trees uttered an earnest whisper, and the grasses lifted their little voices, and the wind crooned its thrilling, stern lament.